Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro Division in the Fall Major Tournament. This video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Let's go! Yes, this is a playthrough with the correct tournament to win. That is very important for me to say that these holes that you're going to see here, this is the win that you're going to get. Or let's say like this is the angle of the win that you're going to get. It of course depends on the ball that you're going to use, how much wind resistance you're going to have, etc. So we're going to start out with hole number 1, and hole number 1 is going to allow us to do two things, two ways to play. Either we're going to play as our opponent to try to gain as much distance as possible to the right side, being a little bit lucky with the bounce, so we do get past the trees on the left, so we're not going to have to play through them, because that's not going to be possible. Or we're going to play ourselves a rough bumping in between two trees here to gain a more open shot. I do believe that with this type of wind, that going for the rough bump here for our first shot is going to make us have a more or less a straight shot towards the pin with the angle of the wind, and that is going to be easier to drop than it would be on the right side. And that, I think, is something that we need to think about. So that is also why I want to show you this shot from the left side. 20% extra as we're playing it downhill. Max topspin, max side spin. The only problem I get here is that I'm actually cutting a bush, as it seems. But as it are so much downhill, we're going to have no problem to reach over to the other side anyway. But we need to make sure that we are bouncing enough distance for sure. And something that also can happen is that with an extended ball guide line that we're going to have with the tailwind, is that sometimes we might going to cut the tree in some way. And it's just very important that we get over to the fairway. If we get stuck in the rough, we're going to have a serious problem for sure. Now for the second shot, I'm actually going to play with a Saturn. The reason I'm playing with a Saturn is if we would be gaining more distance than we did now on the fairway, we could possibly, with that power 3 ball that we're playing with, go directly at the pin. Now we can't do that, as we didn't get enough distance. But now we can play it before here at least. So you can see where I basically have straight wind. I'm going to use a slight amount of topspin, half a bar of topspin approximately, with 1 bar of side spin to the right. So I'm just putting myself straight at the pin. So you can see straight at the pin here. Then we're going to adjust the Saturn from max distance with 10% extra with our numbers. That is going to be 4.3 rings. We hit it perfect. And we're going to bounce here. We're going to come in and we're going to be very close. Get in! No! I'm getting it very close. And this is definitely going to be a possible eagle for us in the tournament. So hole number 1, as you can see, 2 ways to play. I do believe for the angle of the wind, again, that's the left side is going to be a little bit better for us to play with. Hole number 2. And now I'm going to play the rough bump. I love rough bump. Going to play with a Quasar. And I'm going to adjust, first and foremost, important. We're playing this one 30% extra. 30% extra, okay? That's a lot. And then I'm going to go with 1 bar of a backspin and 2 bars of a side spin to the right. And the thing that we're looking for here is that we're looking for the ball guide line to be a little bit shorter than the pin stance, but straight at the pin otherwise. You can see here we're having the red ring just slightly outside the rough there. And I'm going to adjust for this one to be approximately 8.5 rings. You can see we're hitting the rough very nicely and coming in and drops it for a boom. The rough bump is definitely going to be the way to play here, and something that we really need to study in. But the important and the key here, 2 bar side spin, 1 bar backspin, and 30% extra. If you don't play 30% extra due to the downhill position we are at, then you're going to mess up, and you're most likely going to hit it on either you're going to hit it on the fringe or on the fairway directly and bounce back into the bunker. But also we could be okay with a grade to the right or to the left, but it's going to be a little bit risky with a great shot. And if you feel that you are, now, okay, I'm not hitting perfect this tournament, then you should be playing just conservative, straightforward, using the fairway to bounce straight at the pin. But to win the tournament, it's always nice to have a shot like that towards the pin, as we do feel that we're going to be very close for a hole-in-one every single time. Hole number 3, here we are going to go with the XMI level 7, max topspin. And I'm also going to go with, we're not going to go with any side spin really, it doesn't really needs to. The thing that we're going to do is that we want to aim slightly to the right side of the second piece of fairway to gain as much distance on that, on the second piece of fairway. With this type of wind, we do not try to bounce before the rough, as we are going to sometimes cut the rough and mess up there. Then it's better to go with overpower and try to just have it in a margin of hitting a great left or great right. And that we do, and we gain a decent amount of distance there. And you can see I didn't even use max overpower, so we could actually go with max overpower if we want to gain even more distance. But that is going to be enough for the shot that we're going to play after this. So you can see here as well, as there is a possibility to play left. I don't see the point, as we're going to have basically straight wind towards the pin to playing on the right. And then we're going to make it and do it as easy as possible for us. Now this is a new ball that you might haven't seen that much, which that's Autumn Ball, I think it's called. It's a new one, has a power 5 and wind resistance 2 and side spin 1. So definitely going to reach over with no problem whatsoever. So again, we're playing the same way. As you can see, our opponent did hit it great. Again, we do need to have the margin of hitting the ball great, but then we're going to be golden. It's not going to be a problem whatsoever. Now, we're going to play with a Saturn. Important here, in my opinion, to go with a club with a lot of backspin. Saturn, level 8, level 9, level 10. Absolutely perfect. We aim straight at the hole. And then adjust our number from there. We're going to be in medium distance of our club here. And the only thing here is, like, let's say you wouldn't be having the backspin here that we do have on the Saturn. Then I do suggest that you do aim on the back of the green to let that slope do the work, to let it fall back down towards the pin. We hit it perfect. You can see, oh, get in! Getting it very close, and that shot is definitely going to be more dialed in from my end, and something that we, not a must albatross, but in the end, look how much now our opponent can even play with a thorn. Oh my god, that's even better. But in the end, we do have a very good opportunity for an albatross there, especially with that type of wind, and something that we needed to take advantage on. So the backspin is going to be important here. I love to see Mark, our opponent here, has been listening. I don't know, maybe to me or to someone else, I don't know. But at least having the Thorn and the Saturn, perfect setup in this one. If I would be completing my bag, I would be playing with the Guardian as well. So I do get a good amount of backspin for my wood club as well. If I would for some reason messing up my drive and go a little bit short. So now we're going to go to hole number 4 here. And hole number 4 is going to be a par 3. And we're going to add 10% for elevation here for our tee shot. And we're going to play with the long iron, the same long iron as our opponent is having. I'm going to point out something as well to you that is going to be possible. With this type of wind, you can see we have a wind that points slightly to the left and also tailwind. Then the rough bump is going to be in play on the right side of the bunker. The problem we have there is, let's say we do have a slight different angle of the wind when we do have to drop down into the bunker. Then we're going to find ourselves with a lower trajectory, and that is going to slightly mess up our adjustment. And also going for the rough bump is going to require that you're going to hit the ball perfect. Otherwise you're going to many of the times go into the bunker. It is a very aggressive line, but it is possible to play, something that I at least want to mention. You can see here me lining up here, but you can see the angle of the wind. I'm going to drag it down into the bunker, then it's a no-go in my opinion there. Max side spin, 1 bar of backspin. The reason I'm using 1 bar of backspin instead of using it without backspin is because we do have the tailwind and we need to adjust for the extended ball guideline. The red ring just slightly inside the rough, and you can see the ball guideline pointing slightly to the left there. And then we're going to adjust this shot for being 4.2 rings. And the reason I'm using a ball as a quasar here is because I do want to give myself more distance from the rough and the sand to the right, so I can have margin for hitting the ball great. Coming in very nicely here, but shouldn't be aiming that much to the left of the pin. But a good shot with a good amount of speed, and something that we're going to bring with us for the next one. Now we're going to actually go little Hey Baba River here, or we're going to go and try to actually reach down off the hill there. You can play straight forward, but I would suggest that if you're going to do that, to make sure that you're not going to have the trees in your way, that you're having a club with more topspin, like at Thor Sammer level 4, level 5, Apocalypse level 4, level 5, something like that. Not that often you see that in Pro maybe, but X-Man level 7 has 4.5 bar topspin, which is not going to be that much. But then I'm going to use the left side instead, because then we're going to get a roll down. And now we're coming in too much to the left, but many of the times that speed is going to be enough to put ourselves on the fairway, and that is definitely going to be a possibility. That will take away the risk with our drive, and worst case scenario here is that you're going to get yourself into the rough, and that thing is something that you're going to be able to handle, as I do believe that being in the rough there compared to having a short iron shot with 30% in elevation adjustment is going to be equally hard. Now our opponent goes into the rough there. The only way to stay away from there is don't get stuck behind a tree. Try to have some margin when you go on the left there. Now you're going to see here, we do have a rough iron shot, absolutely a possibility to make this one. I do over adjust this one slightly, as I do miscalculate when it comes to having it downhill. So do adjust it like maybe around a quarter of a ring too much here. So we're just going to miss this one on the right. But in the end, this is going to be a possibility to make an eagle. And the reason I want to show you this aggressive approach, even though we get into the rough, is that I do believe that is going to be a better way to play this hole than trying to lay up and have a short iron shot with that type of elevation adjustment, because that is going to just be so freaking hard. So, and after this we're going to go to hole number 6. Hole number 6 is going to be a par 5. Our opponent gets up there, coming in there, going to save it for an easy birdie. So, okay. Now we're going to play this one with the tailwind that we're having. A pretty kind wind from the game makers here to have for us. Tailwind, we're just going to use the overpower that we do have on our club here, max topspin. Max overpower I'm going with. You don't have to go with max overpower, but I do suggest that when you have some type of wind that is going to be on 5, like 5.1, 5.5, go with max overpower, because you don't know if you're going to get a pretty flat bounce, you're not going to gain enough distance there. Now we're going to have a shot for the pin with a rough bump, and that is something that we need to dial in. I really like that approach. Our opponent is going to do the same, but again, here is a power 1 ball. It is possible, but with a power 1 ball, as a quasar, as a navigator, you need to go with max overpower every single time. And to help ourselves a little bit, that's why I'm using the Titan. So we are going to be with a decent wind, going to have the possibility to play without max overpower, because with max overpower sometimes we're going to mess up, and you go into the rough here, the eagle is basically going to be dead, or at least reaching to the green in 2 is going to be completely dead. So now we're going to adjust with the red ring just by the front of the rough there. 2 bars of topspin. And you can see here I'm aiming a little bit before the pin, as we're going to have some tailwind. And also, even if the sniper is having 4.5 in ball guideline, max ball guideline on a club is 5.0. And then we need to adjust for that little part as well. That's where I'm getting a little bit shorter than the pin. 5.5 rings, I'm going to play this one. But this is going to be slightly over adjusted. And from this distance, we need to play the shot in medium distance. I play it approximately medium plus a little bit more, and that's why I miss it to the right. But in the end, it's going to be a very good opportunity for an albatross, in my opinion. Medium distance of our club, we're going to adjust medium numbers with no elevation adjustment. So, and then of course you can see the distance here our opponent is having to reach the green. It's not going to be possible. So hole number 7, par 3, let's make it happen. This is going to be very tough for us here, that we can either play right and we can play left, and I don't blame you for play in any way. Our opponent is going to play kind of interesting approach, going with almost max backspin and max side spin to the right, and I think that our opponent is wanting to go to the back of the right side of the green to make the ball fall back down. Now this great shot will work good, as it's coming down here up to the top, and this ball is going to fall down. And if you get there to the top, the ball is going to fall down with enough speed to get to the pin. It's just hard to get the roll so you get perfectly down to the pin. And I think that type of adjustment is going to be a good adjustment, because if you can see here now when I'm going to play this one, it's going to be extremely hard for me to adjust with the rings, as the trees are in play, and again as also the fairway slopes down from right to left as well. So completely messed up, and something that I have to just stare at with my eyes to get the proper amount of rings. I'm adjusting, so I'm going to come in a little bit too high here. You can see here with the ball guideline that I'm going to come in higher than the pin. It's just because I know it's going to fall down, and with the wind pointing left to right, I'm going to get my ball to, this bounce is going to push me more towards the right side here, and we're coming in and we're going to get in the hole then. So close for an hole-in-one. So there is a couple of ways to play this hole, and I don't blame you for playing left side as well. I don't blame you for playing right side. It's going to be hard either way. Be happy with a birdie in that one, as it's very tough to adjust. Now is big topper time, even in pro. The only reason I would be staying away from the big topper here, if I would be having like at least 5 bars of topspin on my driver. The problem we have here in pro though is that we do have some slight headwind. And slight headwind with a driver that doesn't have that much topspin, that is going to cause a problem for us. In terms that we're sometimes going to get stuck in the rough and not going to be able to get it down there. Because yes, we're going to try to get down there. You can see I'm using the big topper here. I'm going to adjust the big topper for being in medium distance of my club. Max top spin, as much side spin as possible. And here is the landing position that I'm looking for. You can see the ball guy line there. We're clearing everything because we're getting a pretty low ball guy line there. Then we're going to adjust the big topper here. As I said, medium distance, which is going to give ourselves 3 rings. Then I'm going to push up the adjustment a little bit there in the end, as when we're dropping down in the bunker, we'll get a lower trajectory, and otherwise we're going to lose distance. Slight curl, or baby curl to the left. You can see bouncing nicely here, we're coming down here, get a double bounce, and according to that, like, depending on the wind there again, We are sometimes going to get the ball to roll a little bit more, and sometimes we're going to get that double bounce and the ball is basically going to die. That's why the top spin of the big topper is going to be absolutely perfect for us. So our opponent is going to play this one with a 30% elevation, and that is going to be tough. And I'm going to go for the shot that I made with the big topper every single time. Then we do have a wedge, and a wedge that we should be sinking. Otherwise we're going to have a little bit of a problem in that way. So you can see here we do have a wedge, and we do have a wedge for 8.5 miles per hour, but it's a pretty short wedge. And 8.5 from this distance, we're going to adjust this one slightly, like around almost 3/4 of a cup outside to the left, quarter to a cup on the left. I think 3/4 is going to be enough when it comes to 8.5 miles per hour. And that's something that is good to have in mind. So if we would be having a 10 in win, for example, we would be going with a cup. Then we're going to be in, make the eagle, and that is something that we must to do in pro. And in all divisions, I believe. So, hole number 9, final hole here for us. And now I'm going to actually play the left side. So, our opponent's getting the Apocalypse here to bounce straight forward here. Too much curl, get into the rough, and this is going to be the worst possible situation here, because now it's not possible to read for the green. And I'm going to use a club here that is going to be the Big Topper 5. So I'm going to actually use the Big Topper here as well. And I can advise you to actually do that. If you do have the Big Topper level 4+, I could play with the Big Topper, because then we don't have to go with overpower. And the reason I do want to play out there to the left is that I do want to have an option for the what is it called, rough pump for the green. As you can see, I'm not using any overpower, and we are going to just get that one nicely over to the fairway, gaining a lot of distance here with that top spin. And now we can actually play with a sniper. But I do suggest that you do play with a club that has a little bit more yards than a sniper, because if we do get like an unlucky bounce and not gaining enough distance, then we're going to have a problem and have to play on the side of the rough, and that is not going to be helpful in terms of getting the shot for the albatross. But this is going to be a very tough hole, and you can choose playing to the right side, like playing according to I did in the first playthrough, like if we do for the rough pump to roll out, or we just play directly on the fairway. But if the clubs allow it, left side is going to be my play. You can see here slight amount of tailwind combined with some crosswind here, and you can see we're just in max distance of our club. And here again, I can't stress that enough, that I think it's going to be important for us that we do pick. If we are not feeling confident enough to gain enough distance on the left side, we do still have a sniper 10, then go with the big dog or the cataclysm, or big dog or the cataclysm here, so you do gain that distance that is going to be possible. So we go for the rough bump. We're going to adjust this one for max numbers, nothing extra for elevation, even though it looks completely like we are downhill, but no, it's not going to be adjusted for downhill numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for watching this playthrough for Pro Division in the Fall Major Tournament. And I'm showing you some different approaches and stuff like that. I do believe in Pro we're going to see a score around the minus 13, 14, 15 for 9 holes, and that is going to be around 26 to 30 in the weekend round. And something that we need to get if we do want to win. And if you do have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will be happy to help you out there. And this video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so good luck in the Fall Major Tournament.